I remember she said, I'm so tired. I'm like so beat right now. Came over and gave me a kiss. This is probably 10:30, 11 p.m. and went to bed. I nudged her and I knew she was gone, and I got up, I panicked. My 3-year-old was still asleep. I'm sure I woke him up. I flipped her over on her back, and just the look on her face, she was absolutely gone. My 2 boys, I looked behind me and they were both, they had both come in the room, and they were seeing something that they should never see, and they were sobbing.
Why don't you share with us, I know you just crossed a year, September 27th of 2022, so it's been just over a year. Share with us the events of that day, and maybe even that week leading up, if you'd like.
Yeah. No, I really appreciate having me on. I love Jimmy for having me on. It was a good opportunity to share my story. My wife and I just loved each other, and I still love her and madly in love with her till this day. We had a great marriage, and it wasn't perfect by any means, but we had a great marriage. And I was in college football coaching for 14 years, and that's a very hard profession, and she just stuck by me through thick and thin, and she was just so loyal. She had a personality of she was just rock solid, just so loyal to me, stood by me, had my back in every instance. Towards the end of my football career, we just kind of felt, both of us, without really even talking about it, we just both felt like it was probably time to change professions. And so my little brother, Craig, he started recruiting me. He's in healthcare. He runs nursing homes out in California, and I flew out there, and we made the switch. And I go back to just that loyalty and that just confidence she had in our marriage. And I came home one day and I just said, "Hey, what do you think about switching careers?" And she's like, "I'm in, let's go." And that just made me feel so confident and just ready to roll. And so we spent the last year of her life in California, in Northern California, Pleasanton, and it was a beautiful time of life. We didn't have this, we still had stress in this new profession, but it was a different kind of stress than we were used to. I had a lot more time with her and my boys. Beautiful time. We would go explore on the weekends, and we would just love on each other every single day. It was just a beautiful time of life. And we were going to head to Utah for an annual yearly meeting through our company. And we were so excited. They were going to have a little a gala or whatever at the end of the meeting. And so we were going shopping for her dress that she was going to wear, and we were supposed to wear, tuxedos, and it was just a fun time. And so we're getting ready to go, and we fly into Salt Lake. The meeting was going to be at the Grand America in Salt Lake. And so we head down to Provo, and her parents live in Provo. And so we're driving down and just had some amazing conversations. I remember specifically those conversations on the way down to Provo that night. This was September 26th. One of them was, she asked me, she said, "Hey babe, do you remember our song?" And I said, "Of course I remember our song. That's our song. How could I forget?" And she put it on, and we're just holding hands, and it was beautiful. And we go to her parents' house. We're hanging out. We're just enjoying life and getting ready for the next morning's events. And all of her, it was kind of cool because all of our family was there. My siblings were in town, and all of her siblings were in town as well. And so she went with her siblings and parents to go get some dinner, and then I took my boys out to dinner separately. And then we came back, and we were having a great time. It was probably 9:00 p.m. And we go downstairs. I was going to present for the annual meeting the next day. And so I'm trying on different blazers for her. And I remember she said, I'm so tired. I'm like so beat right now. And we had woken up really early for the flight. And throughout our marriage, I don't think she missed a day of working out. She never worked out on Sundays, but I don't remember her missing a day of working out. And so she said, "Man, I'm so tired, but I need to get a workout in." And so she did some burpees and some abs, and came over and gave me a kiss. This is probably 10:30, 11 p.m. and went to bed. And so it was me, and it was our 3-year-old son, Jace, and then it was my wife in bed together. And then in the other room were my 2 other boys. And I laid down for a little bit, and then I went into the other room, and I looked over some notes from my presentation that I was going to make in the morning. Came in the back of the bedroom, probably about 1:00 a.m. went to bed, didn't notice anything different. It was just normal. Got my 3-year-old, cuddled with him, fell asleep, and had a great sleep. Woke up the next morning, and I woke up to her alarm clock going off on her phone. And so she was staunch. She was just disciplined. She was a very disciplined person. And she was a person that never hit snooze. And so I remember flipping her snooze button off because it kept going off. And then I was texting my brother, and I was texting him about plans that we were going to have for that day. And then it kind of dawned on me. I just kind of dawned on me that she wasn't getting up. And so I turned over, and her back was facing me. She was on her side, and I nudged her. And right away, I've explained this to other people, and it's very hard to articulate. But right away, I knew she was gone. And I think as you become one in marriage, and as you just know each other so well, there was just something about that feeling of touching my companion, and knowing that she was gone right away was a feeling that I don't wish upon anyone. I knew she was gone, and the best way that I can describe it is an electrical shock going through my entire body from head to toe. I just felt an absolute shock, and I got up. I panicked. My 3-year-old was still asleep. I'm sure I woke him up. I flipped her over on her back, and just the look on her face, she was absolutely gone. And my first instinct was to run upstairs. Her dad is a doctor. He's an orthopedic surgeon. So my first instinct was to run upstairs and to try to get help. So I ran upstairs, and then about halfway through, I realized, no, I got to go back. So I ran back. At that point, her mom heard me yelling, and she came down. And so we're both panic. And this is just an experience that I just relive every day. I'm sure it's obviously trauma that I go through every single day, but it's an experience that I relive every day. To just in my heart know that she was gone, but then still trying to revive her. I picked her up. We had 911 on the phone, and I know CPR, and so I started CPR. And at that point, my 2 boys, I looked behind me, and they were both they had both come in the room, and they were seeing something that they should never see, and they were sobbing. And so about 5-7 minutes later, the paramedics came, and they ushered me out, and they started their operation on her. And at that point, it is the most shocking, numb feeling that I've ever gone through. And I'm trying to get back in the room. They just said, "Hey, just let us do our thing." At that point, another paramedic came out and just said, "Hey, does she take anything? Does she take drugs? Does she take antidepressants?" And I said, "Nothing. The only thing I've seen her take is Tylenol." And they're pumping her system full of everything. He just said, "Hey, we're unloading the kitchen sink on her. We're trying everything." And at that point, I got on my knees and I just prayed. And I had paramedics and officers surrounding me, and I just prayed right in front of them and just emptied my heart out to my Heavenly Father. And just the feeling of hopelessness. Honestly, Tyler, I've never gone through that feeling in my life. I've had a pretty good life up to that point, but that feeling of hopelessness and despair, it was overwhelming for me. And then about 5 minutes later, the lead paramedic came out, and he just said, "Hey, I'm so sorry to tell you this, but she's gone, and she's been gone for a while. There's just nothing. There's nothing we can do." And so at that point, I remember falling on my face on the kitchen floor right outside the room and just sobbing, absolutely sobbing, just in despair. And that was the experience. I think going from those traumatic events where I think the one thing that I've thought about over and over was going from 11 p.m. the previous night, kissing each other, having a great night, just being so happy, to 8 hours later, she's gone. It was just such a drastic turn of events that I was not ready for it. I absolutely was not ready for that. Just polar opposite turn of events. So a very heavy morning. And so I went upstairs. They have to do an investigation. about 2 hours later, I'm surrounded by my family at that point. And I think that was a blessing in disguise as well. I have my brothers, my parents around me, my sister, all of her family just surrounding me and the boys. I'm trying to hold it together. And I'm losing it. I'm losing it in front of everyone. It was just a heaviness and a despair that I could not handle at that point. And then I think to kind of cap the morning off, in closing, the main investigator came up and he said, we just finished our due diligence downstairs, and he just said she went peacefully. And he said, I've seen multiple deaths. I've done this for 20 years, and I can just say that she went very peacefully. And that did give me comfort, although I was in utter agony and hell. That fact alone, that she went peacefully, gave me some peace. I asked that I could go see her, so I went down, and I just remember going down, vividly remember this, going down and just laying next to her and just sobbing, and holding her and telling her that I loved her with all my heart. And then they, I obviously never gone through that experience before, but them at that point then taking her out of the house, and then you're just left alone, and then you're just sitting there looking into an unknown future at that point.
Damn, dude.
It was the heaviest and absolute worst day of our lives, by far.
I'm sure you've heard this 100 times, and it probably doesn't. These words may not mean anything to you, but I just want to say I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's I'm emotional, obviously, because your story, but it's hard not to visualize when you tell that story what it would be like for me to go through that. So I'm visualizing my children behind me. I'm visualizing my 3-year-old laying next to me, and my wife, and yeah, man, I'm sorry.
Thank you very much.
How did that change you? How are you different today than you were a year and 10 days ago?
I'm different in every single way. And I being very frank and very straightforward, I'm good at putting forth it's the best word I can say is just a front. I was a football coach, and so you have to be a good recruiter. I'm used to leading people. So when you're leading a group of people, you can't walk up and let them know that you're having a bad day. So I'm used to putting on a strong face and a strong front. But this has absolutely destroyed me. It has broken me to the point where I am humbled to the absolute dust. I just wrote a family email to, we have a thread with my in-laws and her family, my wife's family. And at the year mark, we just passed the year mark, I just wrote down my thoughts of the past year. And I went through kind of a little, just a quick story of our marriage. We started out, I loved her. We loved each other. We were deeply in love, but you have to figure each other out. Then we move away from Utah, and we're in coaching, and we have our first boy. We have our first baby. And at that point, I fall head over heels for her. And this is 4 years into our marriage. Then we go to our next coaching opportunity. We have our second boy. At that point, I remember just feeling absolutely smitten by her. Then we go to our other coaching job 2 or 3 years later. And at that point, I am not only head over heels, not only smitten by her, but I remember vividly thinking at that point, man, I just feel at one with this woman. We are one person. And so then fast forward 5-6 years and she passes away. At the first time in a very, very long time, I don't feel at one with someone anymore. She's physically gone. I'm desperately trying to hold on to any resemblance of her. I'm trying to connect with her daily, but I feel like an absolute shell of myself every single day. And it's not, hey, let's wake up and yeah, I kind of miss her, but we can kind of go on throughout the day. This is every second of every single day. I am looking for myself. I just feel like a shell of myself. I'm not complete. I'm deeply, deeply longing for her, and I'm absolutely broken. And obviously it's still raw. It's only been a year, and I am still 100% brokenhearted in every single way. And that's despite what I put forth on social media and what I go into work every day and I still lead a team of people and I got to put on a strong face, but deep down it is completely changed. It's rewired who I am. And I still think I have a lot of work to do to try to find myself. But it's something that has absolutely humbled me to the dust.
I don't want to compare my story at all, 'cause it's not the same at all. And I don't want to, I hope you don't take this as that at
Absolutely
all.
not.
But
No.
it's my experience. I got a text message. I was on an airplane. I was basically in New York City when I heard my wife was going to the hospital. She had a complicated pregnancy issue. Plane's descending. I get a text from my father-in-law that says something to the effect of, brace yourself, she's not going to make it. And when I read that, in my heart, she was gone. I felt like he just wasn't telling me. He wanted to wait till I got to the hospital to embrace me and be there for me and that sort of thing. And so I lived about 2 hours of my life thinking that my wife had passed away. And it's like so hard to describe the inability to gather your thoughts. I describe it as like your whole life kind of flashes before your eyes. Everything comes to the forefront from when you were a child. You have all these memories just flipping through. And I went through similar stages of grief, and I can only imagine, like, that was only 2 hours.
Yeah.
You've lived with this for a year. Has it gotten easier with time?
Well, first of all, I appreciate you sharing that. And that's, I think you have a gift now too of you kind of know how that is. You thought that she was gone for 2 hours. So I really appreciate you sharing that. To me, it has not gotten easier with time. I think it will. I have hope. I really do. I don't want this to be a total downer. I know it's going to get better, but for me, it has not gotten better at the year point. The first 6 months, you're numb. You are absolutely numb. And I was shocked. I just could not, my mind could not comprehend. There was so much muscle memory, and there still is today, about, I need to text Emily. I need to call Emily. I can't even tell you how many times I would say I'd be in my house and say, hey babe. And I'd stop myself, cause I'm thinking about, calling her. Then you kind of cross that 6 month mark, and then we moved out of Utah. I felt like I had to get out of Utah. And then you start kind of looking at your future prospects of life and your future with these boys, and she's not coming back. And she's just, your mind is just trying to grasp what is going on every single day. And it's so different. You're trying to recognize who you are. You're trying to grasp onto any comfort, any dopamine hit you can. And then you start realizing that, crap, she is not coming back. And you start looking at your life. When I was married to Emily, or when she was here on this earth, I should say, I remember I was thinking life was going on really fast. I was like, man, I'm already 37. Life's moving. And now, since she's been gone, it is like I'm fighting every minute just to get through the day. It's gone so extremely slow. I was on the phone with my mom just before I came over here and just saying, man, it just seems like my life is going to be 1,000 years without the prospect of having her by my side. You just, every single second of every day, you're just one. And so to me, that prospect of just accepting that you're not going to have her the rest of your life on this earth is very, very uncomfortable for me. And it's still something that I need to accept. And I'm sure that's going to take some time. But I do, like, I want to be clear. I do have hope and I do have faith that eventually somehow we're going to understand, maybe why this happened. We're going to become stronger because of it. And I think I'm hoping that we're going to be able to function, normally again.
Have you had any experiences since you lost her where you felt her presence in your life?
I've got that question so many times, and it's, these are deeply personal thoughts, but I remember at her funeral, I had this overwhelming sense of confidence. And I remember thinking, it's okay, because I'm going to be able to see her all the time. I'm going to pray, or I'm just going to start talking to her and she's going to show up maybe in a dream. I know the listeners may think that's kind of crazy, but when you're at that point, you're trying anything to just grasp onto her. So I was like, I'm going to see her in dreams. I'll be able to talk to her. It's going to be fine. Little did I know that she didn't show up, and I haven't felt her. I have not seen her in a dream. It's scary. I mean, it's like you literally lost your spouse. I mean, physically, emotionally, mentally, she's gone. Yeah. Now, about 2 months ago, I will say I'm sitting on the couch watching my 3 boys play, and these boys are my everything. I mean, they're my link to her, and I just am so grateful for them. But I'm watching them play,